put I don't know, what do you think? 30-minute or...
Yeah.
I'll put a 30-minute timer on just so we can think like that. Oh, it's nice. I can put my phone right there and it's out of screen.
See,
So I can still see it.
I can't see either way. Oh my God, it looks like a little news channel.
It kind of is a little news channel.
Dude, John.
Hi. Welcome to our news channel. As you can see, we're smartly social distancing with our plexiglass here so we can talk without breathing on each other.
Since
kind of
we
like
don't
magic.
breathe on each other all day, right?
Exactly. That's fine. Now, we've been in we're, to be fair, we are in our own bubble. Like, we've been in our bubble, so it's kind of like we're together anyways all the time. But
Lucky you.
yeah, lucky me. But,
Poor baby.
but anytime somebody else comes in, they can have the reassurance knowing that the particles will not be directly,
Can we get like replacements for this or something to go on top of this?
Well,
Is that a possibility?
we've got things for them, but we can always. These are rinsable. It's just a fabric, so
Yeah,
it can be.
they can be washed.
You can rinse them off, yeah,
And this can be wiped down, and
yeah,
all of that can be done.
yeah, totally. We can Lysol it up, and throw some stuff around here. I don't know, like a little something here, a little bobblehead over here. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that sounds cool.
Yeah.
You're not live streaming this, are you?
Maybe. I am doing a test live stream, but I'm not doing it on our channel. I'm just doing it so we can try it.
So that everybody can see us.
Yeah.
We don't have a topic.
Well, topic number one is how to live stream during a pandemic. So that's a good topic. Everybody knows that lately there's been a little bug going around, and we're all having to be conscious of it. I think that's a fair way to assess it, right? So give the people a little update. We basically, up until, February, March of this year, 2020, we had been getting all sorts of people in here, lining people up, doing interviews left and right, filling this table with like 6 people at once. Mm-hmm. Everything was sort of stacking and cracking or whatever you want to call it. And then, that stuff happened. And then all of a sudden, it's like, well, we can't really have people lined up in the studio. So we've sort of been... I don't want to say on a hiatus. I mean, we've been doing other things in the meantime, but...
A lot of other things.
Yeah, all sorts of other stuff.
I would almost say, okay, this is my version of it. Mm-hmm. Maybe it doesn't, but there's like probably multiple versions.
Yeah.
My version is, I think we went into immediate action. Mm-hmm. And as soon as the pandemic hit, it felt like this sudden call to react and be in action. And so we went into our Zoom interviews right away, and we did 20 in a row, and every week we were hitting it.
Yep. And
then I think we realized that this pandemic was here to stay. I think everybody did.
Yeah.
And that quarantine was maybe going to end, but that this was going to be a lifestyle for a while, and it still is. And so I believe, at least for me, that I went into survival mode and back to what it is that I know. And actually, I think we learned some great lessons with that too, that we'll be able to bring back in to Passion Dallas. But, we went back into real estate mode, which is, the basis of where we come from. And I think we had kind of let that go almost too far away. And now we're kind of bringing that backwards into the forefront and saying, hey, we represent, real estate here in Dallas, and we're experts in that arena for many, many years, and we love that too, and we love the relationships involved with clients and stuff like that. And how do we bring value, and now we're trying to bridge that gap and build those two together. Unfortunately, it's gone a little heavy that way, and it's hard for us to get back to creative, but thank God for you. You looks like you mastered this, so I don't know. We might be back
to a degree. Yeah.
Boom.
I mean, we're
back.
We're at least stepping back and seeing how things roll, which I think is great. I mean, that's the one thing we talk about. getting ourselves into action and just doing it. And that's what we did today. We sort of set up our spot here to make it work.
Yeah.
And this stuff is a lot of fun. I mean, not that real estate gets a rap sometimes of not so much fun, but there is a lot of fun in it. I mean, we do some fun. We feature properties. We go out and we get a chance to go behind the scenes and see all sorts of different people's lifestyles and the places they live and the types of homes that they're either coming from or going into. So there's really a lot of interesting stuff that comes out of the real estate.
And I think that, more than ever, it's been a time where we can reassess, like, okay, so real estate has been a part of each of our lives in different capacities. I mean, you've been filming it for many, many years of your career.
Yeah.
And I've been practicing, I'm a broker and work with clients. And I also, many people don't even know this about me, but I operate a property management company and oversee all these apartments in addition to that. And I don't talk about that so much. It's funny. It's what I started in, and it's like a big basis of what I do.
Yeah.
And it's a huge development of my expertise that nobody realizes. It brings so much expertise to the table, and yet I've sort of, I don't know, I've drawn this line in the sand, I think. But this year's been one thing about COVID.
Yeah.
And again, I wouldn't wish it on us again, and I'm not saying that, but there are a lot of really good things that I think will come out of it. And for our industry, it's the realization that home is meaningful. It's not just like where you live. And I've always felt that way.
Right.
And it's always been in my frame of thought. Like, I know that, but I think now the world knows that. And that's why I think real estate has been so successful and all of that throughout this year, is because I think people have really, started to build their nests again.
Yeah.
So if we can, connect the genres again and really show people the essence of home and lifestyle and bring all of those things in together, I think that they're in for a big treat. I think we're in for a big treat.
Yeah. Well, we should be. We deserve it. A nice treat. So, that's a good point you brought up too, is like the real estate market being pretty darn good during this time of uncertainty. And I was curious about that. Like, is that what it feels like? Is that people feel like, well, hey, things are sort of uncertain out in the markets and who knows what's happening, and my most safe bet is to go and find myself a home that I can get into for an extended period of time, and that sort of is a base, and it's like solid, and is that sort of what you think?
I definitely think that's a part of it. I mean, I think the thing about real estate is there's always these speculations on what drives the market, and they're all true, and it's never just like one thing. I think there's definitely a need for people to build a nest and to know that they really want to enjoy their environment. And I'll only speak from my experience because it's not fair for me to like assess everybody else's, but for me in my market, like in Dallas, with the people that I work with, that I have the chance to work with, they wanted to feel great with their families and their homes. Like they want their space where they can kind of encapsulate their family life. And that is how most of my clients have felt. Or they don't always have big families. Sometimes it's a couple. Sometimes it's a family. It depends on who they are. But yes, there's been a lot of that. We also very openly in real estate have a housing shortage right now where, building stopped for a while and there's not a lot on the market. And so there's not that much to choose from. So that's been an interesting thing to tackle. So I think there's always a lot of reasons why. But I think no matter what, again, my experience is that it's a very emotionally based business. And I always say that to people that I work with. Like, it's emotional. It's an emotional journey. It's going to have a lot of ups and downs. You've been able to watch a lot of that emotionality throughout the course of this year.
For sure.
Because I'm so sharing with you. But, and you're here. But it's Yeah, I think that home has a different meaning, and I do think that exists. And my goal for us is to bring that into Dallas and maybe show people how to make their house a home. I don't know.
Yeah.
In all the different ways. I mean, there's so much to that, right?
There really is. I mean, yeah, it's one of those sort of universal not talking points, but maybe a subgenre of topics is real estate in general. Like you can talk about, okay, so that point being that's something we can roll into as we get into more of these podcast ideas or show ideas, is how to incorporate the different types of subjects that come up when we're talking about homes. It could be anything from the more utilitarian stuff, such as building or vendors or how to do this and that, up to these things that we used to call evergreen topics, which are like, how to decorate your home for the holidays, or, what type of landscaping works in your part of the country, or, things like that. Like, there's so many different topics, including the more personal things, such as, like you said, what does home mean to you? And, what are the personal aspects of obtaining a home, moving into it, identifying yourself with it, and all that sort of stuff. So
no, I mean, there's so much to go, and I think being able to again like kind of forge our paths back together and bring in the best of all worlds. I mean, because we've gone and done so many amazing interviews with some people in Dallas that are just incredible. I mean, it's been such a journey. Like, to be able to blend those two things together and honestly come down to really continuing to serve the people that we serve, and help them and bring value to their lives. And in the end, I believe that about you and I, that we work really hard, both of us, and we both want to do a lot, with our lives and all of these things, but we really actually care about people, and the people that we serve. That's why we do what we do. And I think that's going to be a really neat journey for us to go on, is to figure out how we can continue to serve the people that we love, and that give us the opportunity to work with them. And that brings a lot. I mean, honestly, it brings a lot of joy to my heart. So I thank you. First of all, can we just talk about this guy right now for a minute? Because I think that sometimes when you're a behind the scenes kind of person, which I've been before, believe it. I know nobody can believe it, but I have been for a long time. I think nobody really, or maybe for me, I feel like that people aren't seeing the essence of who you are as a person, and you are without doubt one of the most beautiful people I've ever met in my life.
Thank you.
Through and through. I mean, to know John is to know John, and he never is any different than exactly how you know him. And I think that's a specialty, because I am like crazy and he's just so normal. But thank you so much for staying by me and really continuing to rally through all of the craziness, because it's brought a lot of craziness to our lives. I mean, thank goodness we were able to support the journey, and that was great, and that was what we set out to do initially. But then there becomes times where it's like, okay, great, we're supporting this, and thank goodness it was a successful year financially, but what does that mean for John, and how does that really help him in his creative endeavors? And you have been such a champ in so many capacities, that I can't tell you how grateful I am for you in my life. I mean that, like, for all the world to know. I do tell him that a lot, but the world should know that you're an incredible, incredible person, and I really appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Likewise.
And you're extraordinarily talented. So I'm I'm anxious for you to get creative again, and like even this, John, like even this little thing. So all John did, big deal, but it was a big deal, is rearranged our space. And he took it upon himself. And I was home working yesterday, and I wasn't going to be around. And I always feel guilty when I'm not around, even though I shouldn't, but I do, because I feel like, I'm not, what's John going to do that day, or, whatever. And he, not only did he do that day, you completely resurrected us. Like, in one day.
Yeah.
You brought us back we weren't dead. We
Right.
weren't dead, but you brought us back from the sleeping.
We just weren't on air.
And we've been working off, but
yeah,
really hard this year.
Yeah, with a whole variety of things. Well,
Man.
And I think that's some of the great stuff that we've done together. Like, obviously, we've had so many chances, like you said, not only to interview so many great people, but chances to exercise our crafts, to use all this equipment that we all invest in, and that, we spend all our time learning this craft of how to put all this stuff together and make it. So we've had a lot of great opportunities, even prior to this pandemic, where we got to learn about cool people. We got to put out great, cool videos. We really had a chance to do a lot of stuff. And I think that's just one round of many possible rounds that we could make. And I guess the benefit of something like this whole pandemic and taking our path different ways is that you sort of get to maybe reevaluate stuff in your mind and shuffle it and say, okay, so how can we take the best parts of those and put them, into action for the next round. So, so that's the way I'm feeling about, what we could possibly do going forward is, how can we do that? Stepping out of the comfort zone, trying, just like this right now, that I'm just like, okay, hopping on camera and getting.
You mean when you sneak the live stream on me and just don't tell me, and then all of a sudden I figure it out? Yeah,
exactly that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of those things. It's like.
Did you tag me in it as well?
I will I need to put it on Facebook. I'm keeping it low key on YouTube right now.
Good boy.
But that's the whole thing. It's like it's like I was saying earlier. You just you gotta jump in sometimes and just go for it, because then otherwise you'll end up just thinking about it. And I think that's true in a lot of stuff in life. So
Not only do you think about it, this is what's been crazy for me this year that I've really figured out is. When the action stops and maybe some of the creativity accidentally, I don't want to say dies, but it goes to sleep for a little while, and you're in just constant, cross T's, dot I's, mode. I think that you accidentally give up a little bit, and yes, you're talking about things and you want to do them and whatever, but you're not really there. And that's at least how I have felt this year, where I've wanted it so bad, and I know how I felt last year and up until this pandemic with Passion Dallas, and where my heart was, and where I felt and how I felt, and it's just amazing how that changed so quickly. I mean, it hasn't even been a year yet.
Yeah,
and
it feels like 5 years.
10, right?
Yeah, 10 maybe. Totally. It feels like that.
But the growth, I agree with you that, like, even just what you did today, like, the lights are on, the camera's on. I love this set so much. Like, really love this set so much. Like,
yeah, it's looking good.
I think we're back.
Yeah. I think this is step one towards the path of whatever stuff we come up with next. I think it's a great time. We've all gone through all this crazy effed up year. There's more than one thing that's happened this year that's crazy, but we're sort of in this little moment, just collectively with everybody, that we know it's a new year's coming up. New other things have happened, refreshing things, revitalizing things, I guess. And people are feeling like, okay, maybe some stuff's going to happen. Even this whole vaccine thing, it hopefully is looking positive coming up. So there's several things that could be sort of a little weight off people's shoulders coming up. So I think that's a great time to sort of get into the mix of things, and sort of test our waters and, try some things,
Absolutely.
Try a bunch of things. This is one thing, but we can try, we've got some other stuff lined up. We've got I know we talked about your sister coming in and doing the reading, which I think is going to be fun. We'll try that next week.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. I think that's going to be cool. So
Super cool.
but yeah, like getting to that point you were talking about with create, I think that's one of the big things that I always deal with is like I have this overwhelming need to feel creative or be that I'm doing creative things. So it's like a constant thing on my mind. And even just putting something together and making it happen is like a yeah moment, you know, because it feels like I just want to do this stuff all the time. Like I want to always constantly be, you know, whether it's broadcasting or, you know, just putting stuff out to the world. I mean, we do it in other ways for sure, and I'm happy anytime we do that, but I think it takes a little bit of extra something for us to do it like this and have conversations with people and, you know, share more of ourselves and learn more about everybody else, you know, have that trade-off. So,
Yeah.
you know, those are some of the things that we can certainly do
Definitely.
going forward.
No, yeah, definitely. It's amazing.
Yeah.
No, really, it's amazing. So I'm really glad to end the week this week.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting into the holidays. We're getting into the new year.
That's true.
I think there's going to be a lot of mixed emotion with that. I don't think we're out of the woods yet, personally. I wish I could say that I did, but we're not.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, doesn't mean I'm right. I think there's a lot of great things on the horizon. I think we've got some time, and I don't, you know, I don't think January 1st everything's going to change and go back to normal. Like I know everybody's going to wish for that, but in the meantime, you know, let's make the best out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and, do what we can do to stay positive and you know, I envy in you that creativity, because for me, I have to work really hard at it. I am naturally a creative person. It's not that I'm not, and everybody is, by the way.
Right.
I don't think anybody isn't.
Right.
You know, I wanted to be a dancer when I was a little girl. I put on plays nonstop. I came from that world. But since I've been an adult and out of school, at college, I have had nothing but responsibility, and it's just piled on me and piled on me. Absolutely. So even when I think about like, well, why do you feel guilty when you're working from home and John's in the office? Because somehow I feel responsible for you. You didn't tell me to do that.
Of course, right. Yeah.
I do that. That's my own shit.
Yeah.
And so I love that, like the fact that you like did this yesterday again while I was gone. See, it's beyond just the fact that you opened up my creativity. You took some of that weight that I carry on my shoulders all the time, which is this responsibility weight that you never told me to have for you. Because, I mean, you're younger than me, but it's not like by that much, right?
Yeah.
It's not like I could be your parent.
Of course.
So, I mean, shame on me for feeling that way and taking anything from you, which is everything that you bring to our world, and thank God that you bring that into my world, because this is what I need, and this is why I fell so deeply in love with Passion Dallas in doing it. Yeah. Because I have to have this, and I don't naturally go to it because all I go to is responsibility. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you know, and responsibility definitely has its place. I mean, without it, you know, the creative things have to, you know, be able to have direction, so responsibility is important.
Well, then we're the perfect team.
Exactly.
Look at that.
We are a great team. I mean, and I know we talked about it the other day, but that's one of the great things is that, like you said, sometimes work from home, sometimes in the office or studio, which we have, and I was just thinking about this the other day, like every week's a little different. Like we don't have this is far be it from anything like a cubicle in an office where every day we're clocking in and clocking out doing the exact same thing. Like one of the great things about what we do is that we have these combined skill sets, and we know that we're sort of two people with these skill sets that can work with each other, and we don't always have to be, you know, in the same room at the same time to be able to work creatively. And we had so many opportunities to experience so many different things, like on a weekly basis. I mean, any given week I could be working on, and I know I mentioned this the other day, but we've done like some cool luxury properties, which are amazing. I love that stuff, just going around and shooting those and like getting that cool footage, everything from just going out and do photos and videos to, you know, floor plans, or sometimes we're just in here brainstorming and creating. So it's a lot of variety. And I think that even any other challenges that we go through, at least we have that cool variety that we actually get to do that, because so many people, the drudgery of everyday life is just that they're just same old every single day, and it's like, at least as much of the pain in the ass some of the stuff around what we do is what it is, we at least have that. So yeah, that's definitely a good thing. I mean,
yeah,
and
it's definitely not boring.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's definitely there's never a day that we have that there's not so many things to do.
Yeah,
I think finally putting this in our schedule and look, my sister has me doing the artist's way on purpose.
Yeah,
which
right.
You know, I need to work harder on. I am working on the writings, but creativity is supposed to be scheduled per this book, per Julia Campbell.
Okay.
Campbell, is that her name?
I forgot the name. I remember the book, but I don't. Sorry, Julie.
I know it's Julia.
Julia.
But it needs to be scheduled, and if it's not, then Cameron, Julia Cameron.
Cameron.
I know it starts with a C. So sorry. If it's not scheduled, then it's very easy to look past it. I mean, even if it's just that you're watching television. Oh, John.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Here we go.
Okay, we're going to switch gears.
Okay.
And this is what it's like to live with me. So this is what this poor guy needs to deal with. You're the only person that can deal with me on a regular basis like this. Okay, listen to this. There is literally the most brilliant, and if you understand, or if you're interested in any documentaries, and I have this much knowledge about film at this point, just working next to John, I have no idea what it really takes, but I do see the editing process on some level. I do see just the schlepping and the cameras and the 10 takes and the, what I see some of that, and I see this much of it for just doing it for a very short period of time in the small capacity that we do. There is a documentary called Murder on Middle Beach.
Okay.
You have to see it.
Okay.
It is, and now I'm going to forget his name. Hold on. I literally tried to look him up on Facebook yesterday because I honestly could not believe how well this was done. It's basically a documentary.
Okay.
Regarding a murder, a woman who was murdered in literally like broad daylight at her home, outside her home.
Okay. Yeah.
And the documentary was made by her son.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. That's messed up.
I could cry just in thinking about it.
Of course, yeah.
He was 18 years old when he lost his mother. Madison Hamburg. Madison Hamburg is a genius.
Okay.
He's
the son that put the documentary together.
He's the son, and they lived in Madison, Connecticut.
Okay.
Which is a beautiful town. And he goes through, it's 4 episodes long. Each one is about an hour, I think.
Okay.
Everything about it, from my perspective, was done amazing. It's super, it keeps you on your toes because you don't know who did it. You don't know how this poor woman was killed. It's been 10 years. It's still unsolved.
Yeah.
It's the only unsolved murder in Madison.
Okay.
To have ever happened.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, was she murdered in Madison? Maybe that's where he was born.
Well, I'm like, of course you don't know who did it because nobody knows. But yeah, that's wild.
So, it goes through the first. I'm not going to even tell anybody anything because
no spoilers.
I'm not spoiling it because it was filmed so beautifully. It goes through so much of the inner workings of each member of the family, and it's so informative on their feelings and their thoughts and their emotions. He builds the story in such a way that keeps you interested and keeps it suspenseful, but also keeps it rich and you really get to know these people. But more than anything, you get to know him.
Okay.
And he's such a warm, individual, and he's dealing. You keep in your mind, your mother is murdered, and it's probably somebody you know that killed her.
Yeah, that's
or somebody you know has something to do with it.
right. Yeah.
Okay, and I don't want to tell you all the suspects that he goes through that are involved, but it's people.
Sorry.
It's okay, but it's people that he knows,
Okay.
and he's trying to figure out who murdered her, but really get to know her, because he feels like he's lost this whole element of, you know how like you know your parent as your parent, as and they're your mommy. And then you get to know them as people.
Right.
And he feels like he completely missed out on that secondary part.
Right.
And never really knew who his mother was. And he's
Wow.
and his relationship with his father is strained. And you feel the hole in this young man's life. It is there's I mean, I could go on and on. There are so many reasons that make it amazing. It took him 6 or 7 years, I don't even know how many years, to make this documentary.
Wow.
It started out as like his film project in school.
Yeah.
And he's carried it out. And I believe, based on the way it was left, that there's probably more to come because of the way that it was left in the end.
Yeah.
It's a must watch. And it gets better and better. And I mean, it keeps you, and then it gets better and better and better. John, I thought about it last night for you.
Yeah.
You have to. It's such a John. You'll get it on so many levels.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it sounds like, I mean, that's the mark of great storytelling, is it gets better and better, especially with something like that that's broken up into different episodes. And power to that guy for actually being able to do it and exercise.
Madison Hamburg. I mean,
Madison Hamburg.
what a brilliant young man. I mean, it's so, and of course it's so personal to him. So, but think about what that takes to, like, you're interviewing your grandmother.
Yeah.
And he doesn't just do it once. Like, he's doing this over 7 years. So he has multiple interviews with each family member, multiple interviews with the police department, I mean, I can't even imagine the work, effort, and energy and everything else that went into making this film. I mean, I can't imagine how many times he thought about quitting or what kept him doing. I mean, again, it's a must watch, and it's brilliant on so many levels for so many reasons. And he meets the mark in every capacity, in every way.
Okay.
You know how sometimes you'll watch
like a
something and you'll be like, that was interesting.
Yeah.
This is like, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so well done. And
Compelling.
it's compelling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
It's so good. And it's heart-wrenching. It's gut-wrenching. It's, I mean, I was, at the end, I just sat there. That's the making of a good show or a good documentary. When it's over and you just sit on the couch, and I don't do that. I don't stop and sit and watch things to begin with.
Right. Yeah.
And you sit there and you just like contemplate it and then contemplate it. And then I got in the bath and I contemplated it, and I was sad and I was crying, and then I was thinking about it. I mean, that is the making of something brilliant.
Absolutely.
When your viewer who does not know you feels that they're a member of your family on some level, and that they're there with you to help you solve this or whatever it is. It's so good. Yeah. So good, John. You'll love it.
It sounds amazing.
Watch it
I'll
this
have to
weekend.
check it out.
Yeah. If you have some time. I mean,
I can make some time, maybe on be a nice Sunday watch or something like that.
You could like watch an episode and like get up and do whatever, and then or you might geek out the whole day. I mean, it's a lot to take in. Maybe like I did it over 4 days.
Yeah.
But I liked it so much that the next day I had to go back to it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing these days too. Like I've so many of these filmmakers have gotten just the art of that down, like how to keep you interested. And believe me, I'm just like a lot of other people out there. I can sit down, and if it catches me within the first couple episodes, I will just, for the next few days, just literally watch a whole series. So,
I think you'll have so much respect for him and what it took. I think you're going to think you'll even see things, well, not even. You're going to see way more than I did, because besides the emotionality, which is always what I connect to first, because I'm so emotionally based, as our John's emotionally based too. He's got that, but you understand the art. And so again, I understand this much of the art, and John gets the art. He knows. I can't even imagine what it took to edit this.
Oh boy, yeah.
I can't even. And it's so well done.
Yeah,
the way they pieced it together, knowing how much footage they must have had in order to make this happen. And then the way they edited it to piece it together, it's like to know this much about it and to see it, it's like mind blown. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah. No, I marvel at that sometimes because, you have to understand how much, first of all, editing can be the longest or at least the most laborious part of the process when it comes to filmmaking. I mean, you might spend, let's say this guy did take 6 years to, he's not spending 24 hours a day, 7 days a week filming it, but he takes all that time to get that footage. And then who knows, it probably took months of actually sitting down, sifting through, organizing and then figuring out not only how to put the story together, but how to subtly tie in any sort of transitions and effects. And there's so much that goes into it. And it's,
I'll leave with one last thing. I don't want to say anything more because I don't want to spoil it. But the one, I think, just to connect to it for one more second so I don't forget I feel this way, because I don't think I can say this about anything else I've watched. You go through this journey with him. And what was the most important piece to me about it, and I don't know that he did it for this reason, but is to see his growth as a person. Yeah. And where he comes from. I mean, he is lost when his mother dies. I mean, he was already going down the wrong road in life. Yeah. But he now has nothing to live for, and this gave him something to live for. And now my hope for this young man, who's super handsome young man too, he has it all. I mean, from appearances, right? Is to see not only do you have something to live for, you've got so much to live. I mean, it's like watching a boy become a man, even, right?
Yeah,
like,
basically.
That's what it is. And that is what got me more than anything, is that you end up rooting for him. It's not that you don't care about his mother. You want to know who killed her. You do.
Right,
I want to know who killed her.
Yeah,
I want to know who killed her, and I have a sneaking suspicion who was involved.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say it. But you root for him as a human being, and he's a beautiful human being, and you see that. You can see how he relates to people, and he's kind, and he's compassionate, and he's got so many wonderful qualities that you just end up rooting for him, and he becomes the hero.
Well, that's cool.
In my opinion.
Yeah, well, I guess, that's one of those things. It's like this, any different way that anybody's life could have gone, his went that way, and in that tragedy, it was horrible, and it sucks that it happened with his mother. But the reality is the chain of events and the way he took it down that path is that he actually made it into a growth process for himself, and grew in life, and just was able to pull this all together. So that's actually pretty awesome,
So awesome. Yeah. I can't wait to hear what you think. We'll talk about it next week.
I can't wait to tell you about it. Yeah. And, side note, and I know we're just about wrapping up here, but side note, I think we do talk real estate and all sorts of other subjects, but I think sometimes we'll come up with some episodes that we just simply talk about what's the latest thing we watched, or what's, because that's the good stuff sometimes.
Well, to know you and I is to know that we cannot help ourselves. So there you go.
For real, though. Okay, well, thanks for tuning in. If you are tuning in, which if you're watching me say these words, that means you have tuned in at some point or the other. I don't know when, because it's on the internet. But
hey, listen, if we tuned in and it got us off of our you-know-whats, then that's all that really matters.
That is all that really matters. Okay, guys, we'll look out for some more stuff coming soon. We've got a variety of things we're in the works on. Like we said, next week we're going to be working with her sister Lauren and doing some readings, and we'll probably be doing that one more on the actual Passion Dallas channel, which